Lufthansa Group is approaching 2025 differently from what it may have initially expected, as challenges exist within the various airlines that do call this group home. One of the most significant challenges, however, and what is a focus in today's proceedings, will be that of how the group handles its flagship and mainline brand in Lufthansa, experiencing a very turbulent last few years. While the group emphasises the hiring of new employees, notably 10,000 people, this figure will be dramatically lower with the mainline Lufthansa branding than previously anticipated and what we have seen before. Ultimately, Lufthansa's hiring rate is part of a refocusing effort to stabilise the business and navigate the many challenges that are hurting it. Turnaround efforts for Lufthansa were announced in 2024 and will continue this year now. The airline attempts to really reposition itself to be more stable moving forward. This is seen as the only way. While the number of people hired across the Lufthansa operation will decrease, still just over 1,000 are expected to be employed to fill new roles. But interestingly, the group says that the people hired will be strictly related to operations. While it may not be all of the 1,000, a large degree of the focus will be on the operation. The company believes that if it can hire people to work within its operation, really focusing on ways to improve the business and say lessen the workload on others or find ways to better the operation, this will be its absolute priority. I know that's a very vague statement to make. The operation could encompass many different things, but you probably get what the airline is trying to put forward by this. They need to find ways to not hire as many people for the greater good, but at the same time, if they are going to commit to hiring anyone, they have to be in a very valuable role that is going to ease pressure or make the day-to-day operation easier. But what is really impacting the company? Well, one of their most significant challenges has been Airbus and Boeing's ongoing supply chain battles. This technically outside of their control, with the issues I touched on delaying the delivery of new aircraft, disrupting Lufthansa's fleet renewal efforts, and even expansion plans, negatively therefore impacting the company's financial state. Particularly concerning for Lufthansa also is Boeing's inability to get the 777X certified. This has been a persistent problem for some time and remains a focus, with the CEO commenting on the delayed certification in recent years on a persistent basis, stating that now his forecast for a 2026 entry into service could shift once more. There really is just so many unknowns, and unfortunately, you're not really going to know when the plane will arrive until it is quite literally in your hand, because we live in an industry today that delays can occur 1 week out. While this frustration, when you consider that the plane was initially meant to arrive between 2021 and 2022, has broader impacts from a financial standpoint, it must be considered that the 777X is not the only plane experiencing delays. While Lufthansa has bet on the 777X for its future to replace older wide-body planes, there are other wide-body jets that are also being delivered. However, the company is just not left with enough assets to cover the capacity due to the persistent delays paired with rising demand and so much uncertainty over that all-important fleet. Nowadays, the airline is being forced to rely on older jets that, while are reliable and certainly widely loved, would have otherwise been retired for more efficient planes to align with that all-important transition plan. While these plans are only short-term, they do have their effects. Thanks to these decisions, the airline has retained aircraft such as the 380, 340, and even some 747s to meet the demand following the pandemic. While this capacity is beneficial, it isn't the most optimal solution to the problem and does have negative connotations. Over several years, one of the other challenges has been the unrest among the workforce, which has resulted in strike action by many different groups of employees. Ultimately, this strike action we've seen take place was driven purely by those working for the company seeking better wages among working conditions and living benefits. The demands were in response to the pressures faced by rising inflation. Strike action occurred in 2023 and 2024, with walkouts staged and led by the unions representing the employees. On each occasion, strike action unfolded and disruption was felt immensely across the Lufthansa network, going on to affect finances. The walkouts forced Lufthansa to reconsider its contractual obligations to staff and adjust them to reflect a livable livable wage. And as a result, what happened for Lufthansa? Well, their expenses were risen to mitigate the walkouts. It was a necessary step, but it has meant they've had to go through a bit of a reoptimization period to deal with the added costs that they are paying to their employees. Moreover, we know the German carrier has faced persistent challenges regarding the consistency of its onboard product and service levels, a central topic among active travelers of the brand. I had the pleasure of traveling overseas in the last 6 months and really also had the chance to speak to many different people from Germany, who of course are ones that think fondly of Lufthansa, or thought fondly of Lufthansa. While they can't speak for the entire population, their opinions, which have changed so dramatically in recent years, are ushered by certainly a high percentage. That is, it's a company which is on the decline, from service levels to that onboard product. It simply does not stack up with what other airlines are offering. Lufthansa at the very least has become aware of this and has acknowledged it, and they're trying to change this, but it's going to take time, it's going to be expensive, and it is not guaranteed to simply fix all the issues at the company. Much more has to be done, such as investments in technology and so much more. A significant majority perceive the airline to have spiraled downhill and say their struggles are paired with increased competition and a lack of a care for the price point that they're actually offering. Remember, Lufthansa is meant to be a full-service flagship, and maybe that title is something that it has not held its end of the bargain for. You can let me know your thoughts on the company down below in the comments. How do you see 2025 panning out for them, especially with a lower hiring rate now being announced? Take care, be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow for your next industry recap.
And we'll fly.